Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan P. Butler. This time we take a look at something that I actually thought I had something similar to already in my collection, only to realize I didn't. And that realization was thanks to a fellow collector named Weston Ledoux. I think I'm saying that name correctly. The only way I know how to say that, I think, is because of an old Garth Brooks song. A worn out tape of Chris Ledoux, lonely women and bad booze, etc., etc. Yeah, my mom used to listen to it all the time. I was an old school Garth Brooks fan at different points, and yes, indeed, I am indeed much too young to feel this damn old. Anyway, all my cards are on the table now, right? No ace left in... I'll stop. Anyway, so in talking about steelbooks one day, Weston pointed out something interesting, and that was that he was hunting down or considering hunting down the different steelbooks with the faces on the spine. The language-independent versions of the Disney-era steelbooks from initial releases where basically they made sure there's no English on it, which includes the spine, which usually had character images on it instead, so that it could be sold in regions that don't speak English, and you could just have packaging that maybe put the title in a native language. That cuts down on the amount of different steelbooks that needed to be produced. And I assumed that I had that really for all of them, but I was sort of thinking, do I have that for Last Jedi? I probably ought to check. And sure enough, I didn't yet. Because whereas I've picked up the steelbooks typically from the US, of course, the UK, from South Korea, from China, and at least one more elaborate release, including a steelbook out of Japan for each of the 5 Disney-era films, I couldn't remember what was up with Japan, at least, for Last Jedi. Turns out that Japan used a language-independent steelbook for every one of those 5 releases of the Disney-era films except Last Jedi. We saw this previously from the UK. We have to use the UK one as example, not the US, because the US one was world-exclusive art. It looks very different for Last Jedi than all the other ones from most other regions. This was the UK 3D release. Okay? The most important part, because we've seen this before, is the steelbook itself, which note has an English title embossed built into the image and has an English language spine. Now, typically that's not what you would have seen out of Japan. Typically in Japan, you'd see no English on it, or very little English, and the spine would have the character images. That didn't actually happen for Last Jedi, such that the Last Jedi one actually was identical to the UK one. Just, it only held one disc on the inside. Remember, that was that premium box edition that had the weird instance of having just the one bonus disc on the inside of the steelbook and all the rest of the stuff in a regular 4K package with its own slipcover in a separate slot. It was just a weird way of packaging that particular premium box edition. So, the realization hit that, well, the UK was English. South Korea typically mirrors the UK. It was English. Japan was English this time. I don't have, or didn't have, a language-independent Faces on the Spine version of Last Jedi. So thanks to Weston mentioning that and kind of pointing me over to eBay, I started doing a hunt and found one that I wanted to make sure to show here on the show. In the book, I'm doing comparison images of the different versions of the spines of the different steelbooks to try to show how they varied, particularly with these language-independent ones in the mix. So it's a big deal to finally be able to find one that matched the criteria. But it wasn't Japan, so where was it? Turns out it was a place I've actually shown you The Force Awakens steelbook from before. Italy. And that, which looks a lot like the UK one without a bunch of ratings on it, is this. This is the Blu-ray / Blu-ray 3D version out of Italy. Okay. Notice the J card here has Star Wars in English, but then the title of the film, Gli Ultimi Jedi, running through the middle of it, so that is translated. Blu-ray 3D down here. The sides, only a little product number and then blank for the rest of the J card because no need for things like the UK and Irish ratings as we see in the UK. The back has Italian text about the film, the various pictures and everything, cast crew information with stuff like directed by, written by in Italian, then stats about the discs also in Italian. This basically includes English, Italian, Spanish, and in the case of things like subtitles, you also get things like Greek added into it, except, of course, for the bonus disc, which is all just still English, like it is in region after region. Little holographic thing there, showing that it's legit. Your various symbols like Blu-ray 3D, rating of T, and then you've got your UPC and all that legalese kind of stuff here. We'll look at the SteelBook in a minute because the SteelBook is what really matters the most. The discs are essentially similar design to what we've seen before, just with an Italian version of it, of course. So Star Wars with the Italian title running through it, Blu-ray 3D, Lucasfilm, ratings and product number. The film disc essentially designed the same way, except instead of Blu-ray 3D, it's got the Blu-ray symbol. And then the bonus disc, very similar to that, with bonus underneath the Lucasfilm. Again, just their versions, the Italian version of the 2018 discs. The interior of the SteelBook, it is still that, kind of standard image we've seen before. What matters is the exterior. So notice here what we've got. We have the same back as on the others. We have a front that is language independent, no title embossed or otherwise down here, English or otherwise down here. And then there's your spine, which does have the character images. Lucasfilm, then Luke, Leia, Kylo, Rey, Finn, Poe, and BB-8 with a little Blu-ray symbol that you can sort of see there down at the bottom. So yes, a language-independent SteelBook did indeed exist for The Last Jedi, as you would expect. It pretty much has to exist for most of these major releases, but just not something we saw in Japan. Japan, for whatever reason, went with an English-language SteelBook when it came to The Last Jedi. But thanks to Weston and a little bit of looking around, I was able to finally get my hands on one that matches the language-independent style of some of the Japanese releases to be able to show that in the book and on the show. So, SteelBook hunters, I hope I didn't just add something else to something you want to hunt down, but yep, it does indeed exist out there, which I think I knew, I just hadn't really remembered about whether Japan actually was one of these or not until Weston mentioned it. So with that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the home video viewers.